Adam, so you're afraid that you might have to lay off some people. What are some things that you should be thinking about?
Anytime you terminate whether one or many workers, there's a number of legal implications involved. Um, so what the approach that I take with my clients is, you know, are there alternatives to a layoff? Because that could be the hardest of all blows, is to lose your job. Could there be cutbacks in other ways? Could there be, even pay decreases or things like furloughs instead of the layoff? Assuming that's not an option, okay? And number two, if we have to get to the question of layoffs, then what are those considerations? Who should be included versus who should be retained. This is not a shoot from the hip type of decision. This is one that requires some analysis. And it's important to actually engage in this analysis to see who is needed versus who is not, and to ensure that the selection process there is done in a non-discriminatory way. Because from my standpoint, we have to assume that the layoff could be scrutinized or challenged. And if it looks like it was done in a discriminatory way, well, the company could be on the hook for something like a discriminatory impact type claim. Then, depending on the size of the business, where it's located, and the amount of people affected, there could be notification requirements. Under the federal law, there's something called the WARN Act. Okay, so the WARN Act would require 60 days notice before you actually conduct the layoff. And if you screw that up, there are class-wide implications to that. And then in other states outside of Florida, Florida doesn't have a mini WARN Act, but other states do. So if you have employees being affected by this layoff in a state that is subject to its own WARN requirements, there may be additional notification requirements. You got to make sure that you're following those and giving the employees the appropriate notice. Not only do you have to think about the legal considerations in the layoff itself, discrimination, notification requirements, but also the manner in which the layoff is done itself. Okay, be sensitive that you're essentially letting people go and dramatically changing their lives in that moment. So that's part of the consulting that I do with business owners before they conduct the layoff, to ensure they follow the law, to soften the blow in terms of the message itself, and to utilize empathy in the process.